Hey there, today's travel tips video is for the unaccompanied minor who is flying alone and may be scared of the entire process. I will share tips for children who will fly alone and just do not know what to expect or do not know what to do in the airport or in the airplane. I'll teach you how to go through the Transportation Security Administration line, what you can do in the airport, what will happen at the gate where your airplane is parked, and I will give you some tips on what to expect inside the airplane if you are flying alone. If you need to travel as a minor who is unaccompanied, airlines have different policies. Most airlines charge a $150 fee, and that gives the adult or parent letting you fly alone peace of mind. It keeps you safe, and it also checks ID for your adult who's dropping you off as well as the adult who is picking you up, and then they will also give you that special attention throughout the whole process. Each airline does have their own unaccompanied minor process, so your adult will need to research those rules. And just so you know, there are adults who are just as nervous as you, so you are not alone in these fears or worries. The easiest way to be less stressed is to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the airplane is boarded, not the departure time. People start getting on the airplane 30 minutes before departure, so that's when you need to count the 2 hours back. I do have a basic TSA rule video that I will link in the description box below. It's pretty quick. If you are 12 years old and under, you do not need to take off your shoes, but you will need to have a liquids bag with your containers of liquids inside them. Your liquid bag containers need to be 3.4 ounces or less, and that is for like hairspray, gel deodorant, not solid, shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer, tinted moisturizer, liquid foundation. The TSA.gov website is great and has a little area in the top right corner that says, "What can I bring?" And you can type in your persnickety questions. One thing that some teenagers forget to pull out and put in their liquids bag is that little bottle of hand sanitizer that's attached to your backpack sometimes. You also will need to Google your airline and carry-on bag requirements. They will show you or tell you the sizes of the carry-on suitcase that you'll have, if you're allowed that on that airline, as well as your personal item bag that's going to fit under the airplane seat in front of you. I travel with a good backpack. A huge school-sized backpack will still have plenty of room to fit under the airplane seat in front of you, and that's called a personal item bag. You can travel with a weekender bag, a small duffel bag. Just Google your airline's carry-on requirements. So when you get to the airport, the adult who is dropping you off has to go with you to the ticketing counter. That is the only way that you can check in for your flight and get your ticket. And then you're going to show that ticket to the security and the gate agent where your airplane is parked. If you are under 18, you do not need to have the ID. The identification is required for the adult dropping you off. That adult needs to Google the airline because the policy says they have to have their ID as well as the person's ID, full name, and their identification number of the person picking you up. If the adult wants to walk you to the gate, they can get a pass from the ticketing agent where they showed their ID, and that will get them through security and to your gate, and they can wait until your airplane takes off and then leave. An important tip for children flying alone: if you are 15 to 17 years old, you get to choose whether you are going to pay that $150 fee as an unaccompanied minor. We bought an airplane ticket for our 16-year-old, and he felt confident enough to go through security with that ticket. So we did not list him as an unaccompanied minor when we bought the ticket. And he does not have to show an ID because he is under 18. Even if he's flying by himself as an unaccompanied minor or just as an adult or a single person as a 16-year-old. It's legal. So from the ticketing counter, you take that ticket to the TSA line. And that's where you have like a gatekeeper officer. It's an airport officer who is like Gandalf, and they may say you may not pass unless you show your ticket, okay? So you just flash your ticket to them and walk through to the officer from TSA who is going to want to see ID and tickets. But you don't have an ID, okay? It's just that officer is who you go to. Remember that these officers get paid to keep people and passengers safe. They do not get paid to be nice. So when you walk up, they're gonna say ticket and ID, and you just say, "I just have my ticket." And they'll say, "What's your name?" Or they may say, "Name." But just don't be offended or intimidated like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. Just say your full name that is on the ticket. A travel tip is to put that ticket inside your personal item bag or your carry-on suitcase. You cannot walk through the screening thing with a ticket or Kleenex or a wallet inside your pants. And remember that you cannot wear a belt through airport security. My tip is to have your wallet, your belt, your phone inside your personal item bag at home. And then when you get to the security line, they're already in those bags. You just pull out your liquids bag and your shoes if you're over 12 years old, and then you go through security. That's when you can put on your belt and put your wallet, take out your wallet and put it in your pocket if you're a guy, and take out your phone. They're trying to cut down on the transmissibility of any germs. And the TSA line is where your age can help. If you're 12 years old or younger, you do not take off your shoes, okay? If you look like you're 13 or older than 12, the officer may say, hey, take off your shoes. And you just say politely, oh, I'm 12 or I'm 10, but I look 15. Like a lot of kids do now. My travel tip, if you are over 12 years old and will need to take off your shoes in security, is to wear slip-on shoes, not the lace-up shoes, because you don't want to hold up the line by untying your shoes and then having to tie them again. Some passengers get really nervous in the TSA line and they just get flustered and it takes them longer to tie their shoes. I have flown over 100 times in my life. As a pilot wife, I still get flustered in security. I feel like I'm in a hurry and I don't know why. But you're not. You've gotten to the airport in plenty of time. You know what to do and take out of your bag. So just take a breath and take your time. You're never going to see these people again. If you mess up, it's okay. Adults mess up all the time. I have a video that walks you step by step through the TSA line that I will link below, but in it I have like a gray bin and I have like a mock TSA line in my room for you, and I'll show you what goes in your gray bin. If you are over 12 years old, you're going to put your shoes in your bin and your personal item bag and your liquids bag maybe. If there's no room, just get another gray bin and put your shoes in there. The only electronics that need to be taken out is any electronic that's larger than a phone. So I have that gray bin for my shoes, my bag, my liquids bag, and then some airports, just watch as you're walking up to the conveyor belt. Some airports want you to put your suitcase in a gray bin as well. Most of them, you just put your suitcase on the conveyor belt, and then you as a passenger are responsible for pushing that gray bin and your suitcase up to the conveyor belt. Make sure that it's starting to go, and then you get in line to walk through for you to be screened. And usually when you are screened, if you're 12 and younger, you just walk through the screener, okay? If you're over the 12 years old, then you will have to hold your hands like this in that screening machine for 3 seconds. And then you'll hear the TSA officer say, you're good. Then you walk down and grab your gray bins and your items, put your gray bins back, and then you can get all organized and switch to your lace-up shoes if you want. Put on your belt if you want. After airport security, I go and get myself a snack or a coffee and then make your way straight to the gate. If you are flying as an unaccompanied minor on Delta Airlines or United Airlines, usually a snack box will be given to you inside the airplane when the drinks come by. But just know that now, because of everything going on in the world, if your flight is under 2 hours, they usually do not serve snacks. They'll give you a drink. You're welcome to bring some snacks from home or buy some in the airport. Most airports have free Wi-Fi, and this is when I would download your airline's app if you have not done it at home. Your app is where you can check your flight status. So you'll go to your app and that will tell you accurately where your gate is parked, where your airplane is parked. And if your airplane needs to move to a new gate, the app gets updated sooner than the signs that you see in the airport. Just refresh your app a couple of times before your flight and you'll know where it is really parked. A very important travel tip for children flying alone is to be at your gate 30 minutes before departure. That is when you will walk up with the adult to the gate agent or without an adult and tell them you are an unaccompanied minor, and then they will usually walk you to a flight attendant before anyone else has boarded the airplane. That flight attendant is in charge of you through the flight. They will take you to your seat and you're going to be on that plane for 30 minutes waiting for everybody to board, and then When you take off, you will not get to take off your seatbelt until about 20 minutes or 30 minutes after the flight has taken off. So if you need to go to the restroom, make sure you do it in the boarding area or right when you get on the airplane. Usually you will also be the last person who gets off that airplane because the flight attendant is in charge of taking you to the person you are meeting. And just so you know, the person who is picking you up must also do what the original first adult did. They have to go to their airport ticketing counter and get a pass to go through security to meet you at your gate. And that's where the flight attendant will pass you off. They'll check their ID and then the paperwork or the document that is in the app that you'll get when you check in, and then they will pass you off safely. There are rules and it's going to take extra time, but these policies are set in place for your safety and for your parents' peace of mind. We worry so much about y'all. If you only knew how much we stayed awake worrying about you. Okay, so now you are on the airplane. I suggest that before you leave your house, you download some shows on Netflix or from YouTube, other videos from me. That way you don't have to be connected to Wi-Fi or anything to watch those shows mid-flight or while you're waiting for everybody else to get on the airplane. Most airlines have their own entertainment system. That's another reason why you want to download their app. And that's how you can watch their movies or shows that are appropriate for your age, and news channels, sports channels, stuff like that. Okay, here's another travel tip for you that you may have worried about like me. I have been beside a big old man who is sleeping heavily and snoring next to me, and I need to go to the lavatory. I just tap him on the shoulder. I'm never going to see him again. I wake him up and I say, "Could you let me out so I can go to the restroom?" or something like that. And then most people, to let you out of your row, they get up and move out into the aisle so that you can get out of your seat. So you don't have to climb over them to go to the lavatory. And wake them up, you're never gonna see them again. Just always smile and say thank you to the passengers who are nice to you. Say thank you to the flight attendants when they give you your drink or take away your trash. When I first sit in the airplane is when I get organized. I take out my book, my journal, my phone, my AirPods, my electronics organizer. I just use this and I flap it over the seat pocket in front of me. And that way I'll have my portable charger, and just so you know, there are usually outlets now in the seats below you, in front of you, if you need to charge your phone mid-flight, but some still do not. So that's when I get organized, so that I'm not having to lean over and get my travel essentials mid-flight. They're right there for me. Here are some tips about what you do not need to pack for your flight. I would not pack a neck pillow. They take up space, they're cumbersome, and they get caught up with your personal item bag, and they don't really work because usually they're just not supportive at all. I would also not pack a travel blanket. You can just use a sweatshirt jacket or a rolled up cardigan if you get cold in the airplane. I will link a packing tips video in the description. I will link a packing tips video in the description box below for you. Basically, I would pack 2 pairs of shoes and 2 pairs of bottom pieces for your travel wardrobe, and make all the tops match with those shoes and shorts or jeans, and mix and match so you can wear them more than once. When it is time for takeoff, the flight attendants will tell you that your tray table needs to be stowed and locked, and then your seat back also has to be all the way up. And that whole process will be the same for before you land. But you'll hear the flight attendants say, "Please stow your tray table and put away your heavy electronics like your laptop, and make sure your seat back is all the way up." If you will be traveling with a laptop, that needs to be stowed or put away somewhere until you hear that ding sound notifying you that you're 10,000 feet in the air. I usually text the person who is picking me up right when I land, so make sure you have their number. But if they have the Airline app as well, they can track your flight the entire way. An important tip for flying alone as an unaccompanied minor is that you have to wait for the flight attendant to take you to the person picking you up. Remember that you are representing today's youth. Be proud and also be respectful. I suggest that you do not wear bedroom shoes in the airport because bodily fluids in the airport floor, airplane carpet, and in that airplane lavatory floor. All kinds of fluids. If you have autism or a medical condition, go to tsa.gov, scroll down to medical issues or disabilities, and then you will be able to have a drop-down menu where you can type in your condition. And you can also download the free My TSA app and just ask them your questions. If your airline or an employee does something really helpful, be sure to shout them out on your social media if you have it. You're smart, you're creative, you are the future leaders and innovators of our country, so dress like it, act like it, and have fun. Have so much fun. Remember to arrive at the airport early and be ready to fly at that gate 30 minutes before your departure time, and you'll be fine. And be confident asking for help along the way through every part of the process. It takes strength to ask for help. All right, you're going to have a great trip. Thank you for looking ahead and being prepared before you get to the airport. I appreciate your time. Say hello if we have not met yet.